Hello and welcome to Higher Ed Live. Thank you for sticking with us over some fun ways of learning how to do it for the very first time. It is Thursday, June 5th, 2014 at 1:09 p.m. Eastern Time, and this is the first ever Marketing Live. Marketing Live is part of a higher education network, a series of professional development web shows and podcasts which are always free and accessible to you in the archives at higheredlive.com and on iTunes. Be a part of our broadcast by tuning in live and sharing your insights and questions using the hashtag HigherEdLive on Twitter. You can receive weekly updates with live show dates and times by subscribing to the Higher Ed Live newsletter. Today's show would not be possible without the support of Michigan State University and mStoner. Higher Ed Live is produced by mStoner, a marketing and communications firm that works with the education institutions on branding, strategy, web design, and more. In June, mStoner is hosting an in-depth two-part webinar series focused on brand strategy. We're tweeting out a link now where you can learn more and register. Our other sponsor is FormStack. FormStack is a robust online form-building solution. With an intuitive drag-and-drop interface, the platform makes it easy for marketers to create branded, mobile-ready web forms without writing code, build donation forms, contact forms, event registration, and more with the web's only 508 compliant form builder. Publish your forms and leverage FormStack's social media plugins to maximize traffic. With in-app analytics and integrations with popular marketing tools, you can get even more out of your captured responses. Visit www.formstack.com to learn more about the ways FormStack can double your response rate. Today's topic was inspired by Scott Shields from Northwest Missouri State University. Thank you very much, Scott. So our topic is social media. What is the best way to communicate with students? Facebook engagement is steadily decreasing, and higher ed pros are desperately seeking for the best way to connect and communicate with students. Where do we need to move within the social media world to keep good communication flowing? I'm going to let our wonderful guests introduce themselves and tell you where they're from.
Hello, I'm Megan. I'm a sophomore at Skidmore College in Saratoga Springs, New York.
Hi, I'm James McGee. I'm a senior at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Good afternoon. I'm Matt. I am a recent alumni of Clarkson University and soon to attend law school at the University of New Hampshire.
Hi, I'm Josh Leppert, and I'm an incoming freshman at Michigan State University in East Lansing, Michigan.
Hi, I'm also an incoming freshman to Michigan State University. My name is Connor Sullivan.
Well, thank you. We're all very happy that you guys are here today. So if any of our viewers have any questions during this podcast, please tweet us using the hashtag HigherEdLive. All right, so starting off with the questions. So to ask you guys, how do you communicate throughout the day? So do you do that online, through your phone, things like that?
I personally use my phone more than anything, mostly direct contact with people.
Does that mean like Twitter or calling or?
More calling and texting, stuff like that. I don't really use Twitter. Occasionally Facebook, but most of the time calling and texting for me.
Texting is absolutely huge, that's for sure.
I would either use texting or Snapchat if it's just something little.
I'm the same way. I use texting. Sometimes I check Facebook, and then most of the times I spend all my time on Twitter.
You are on Twitter.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I'd say the majority of my communication, particularly last semester, was on an app called GroupMe. And what it was equivalent to like a group mass texting service, but it was a little more organized and a lot easier to communicate with my peers and my classmates in the ROTC program.
I also use GroupMe for my work. We use it to change shifts and things like that. I can relate to you on that.
Very cool. So out of you guys, what do you guys talk about when you are talking in these different channels?
Personally, it's I would say most of the time making plans, catching up, stuff like that. For the most part.
right now for Connor and I can speak for all the incoming freshmen at every college or university out there, it's all about room assignments and hopefully getting to meet each other on the weekends and things like that. But it's all about trying to schedule everything around college. So that's what you're communicating to each other about big time.
You guys excited to be Spartans?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Go green.
What about you, Megan?
Pretty much the same. Either making plans or keeping in touch with college friends over the summer that you might live hours away from.
So it sounds like the biggest thing you guys are talking to is friends online. I mean, or it sounds like through phones and stuff like that. You're mostly communicating with your friends. Is that right?
Yeah.
My experience was a little different. The majority of my communication, and this is unique for cadets, and this is across the nation. Every senior group of ROTC cadets, they work together and they plan all the training events for the whole program essentially. So for my experience with GroupMe was a lot of collaboration. So it was GroupMe and Google Docs, where we essentially built all the products and planned all our major training events. And then beyond that, it would be email, communicating with professors as far as assignments or if I had questions or whatnot.
Very cool. That's good information because I think our one of our guys from MSU, Connor, is going to be in ROTC, right?
Yeah, I'm an incoming cadet.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Very cool. So, out of curiosity, how do you communicate with your school? So, how do you communicate with dining, the housing, your college, things like that?
Generally, they like to email. It seems like it's the most popular method. They also have Facebook pages, Twitter accounts, things like that. But for the most part, most regularly get emails.
I agree with James on that. In my experience, it's been a lot of emails. I don't want to say death by email, but I've received many during my years as an undergraduate.
In addition to the email, I think one of the cool things that James mentioned was the Twitter accounts that you can follow. And I know here at Michigan State, there are plenty of them that you can follow that go in coordination with different housings and different meal plans, and even some of the parking lots have Twitter accounts to tell you that, oh, there are some spots open here and there. So I think just that's a big and great new innovation that colleges can use to get in touch with the students, because most of the time they're worrying about what their friends are doing more than they are worrying about their schoolwork. Most of the time.
And even if you worry about your friends, and say you follow one of those pages like at MSU, you can retweet them, and then your friends that go to MSU will also get that update too.
So what about you, Megan?
I think email is very convenient because you know that you will get that exact message, whereas you can tend to lose things on Twitter if you follow a lot of pages. It's very easy to not see a tweet that's very important, but for things that aren't necessarily really important or urgent, I really like when colleges update regularly through Twitter, as not many people use Facebook that often as they used to.
So based on what you guys are saying, you're using oftentimes your phone, you're keeping on the go, you're keeping on track of friends, and you're all aware that that your university has different accounts that you can follow, Twitter, Facebook, things like that. So here's the big question: do you follow your university on Twitter, on Facebook, on Pinterest, Instagram?
Of course.
Yeah?
I'm not aware of many colleges having Pinterest. I haven't seen that much, but pretty much all the other social medians I follow.
Yeah, I still got to get around to that. But, incoming freshman, I can do it later.
I'd say, yeah, I follow their Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I think that's it. I know there's about 30 other different social media applications out there, but those are the ones that I'm connected with.
Very cool. So do you guys like what your school posts? I mean, so wait, going back real quick, what types of accounts do you follow? Do you follow the main university account? Do you follow accounts for your colleges? Do you follow the accounts for housing, for dining, for, things like that?
Main university account is the one that I follow. There's also some sports accounts that I like to follow to kind of post interesting stories about different athletes or different maybe events that are going on in sports. So I like to follow those. As far as dining and housing, things like that go, they do a pretty decent job at emailing us. Not so much those, but.
What about you guys?
Well,
Even though I follow multiple of the accounts, I feel like I really only see the main university's postings.
Okay, cool. What about the incoming freshmen? Do you guys follow housing, dining? I mean, you guys are getting ready to move on campus. Do you?
I'm currently following every page that I can get a hold of that's not necessarily university sanctioned, but ran in conjunction with the university. And I've also, just a little side note, it's kind of cool, the app Snapchat. I follow the Spartan football equipment page, and that keeps me updated on how everything's going with the football practices and some of the events like that. They're taking little videos and pictures here and there on like new jerseys and stuff like that. And so I think that's another kind of a cool and fun way so you can actually see what's happening. And I wish more places on campus would do that.
Like what's happening throughout the process?
Mm-hmm. And you can actually visualize it. You don't have to read it. You can actually see what's going on. And oh, that's cool. It's
That is interesting.
Yeah, the only page I'm following right now is the ROTC page, which they just keep me updated on my stuff, just my move-in and whatnot stuff.
You will get more emails from the ROTC program than anyone else on campus. I promise you that much.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's the Army, right? Gotta keep them updated.
So out of curiosity, with some of the different accounts that you are following, do you like the information that they are posting? What do you wish they were posting more about? What information do you see where you're like, that's super lame, I don't want to look at that?
One of the better releases that I've seen on social media, particularly on Facebook, is the Merit Hometown News releases. I know that like Clarkson just sent out one for the graduating seniors, and you'll see a lot of students share those, particularly a lot of parents share them. Then you get all the badges to add up. So that's a new interactive feature that I see shared on Facebook a lot by students. As far as email communication, and I was talking to a couple of my friends about this, and I'd like to see my university at least to more streamline the email communication. So instead of sending 100 emails with 2 lines on them a week, send 1 email a week that has the highlights of everything, and in a bullet point format. Because what tends to happen, especially, I think James will agree with me on this, the longer you're at a university, the more likely you become at just deleting everything they send you when there's good material there, but you just get so saturated in this material that's not relevant to you.
I feel like a lot of the material that's posted, at least here at Alabama, is pretty informative, interesting, and like I said, they post a lot of pictures of sports events, and then they'll post, an article about it, or they have specials that the dining halls may be doing, things like that. So things that are, I guess, people can use, information that's actually worth listening to, and helpful to students.
It's very similar to what they do here at MSU so far. I haven't seen much, but I'm sure I will eventually. I hope that's something that all colleges can use. I think they do.
When I think of what my school uses a lot on social media, I really enjoy they use a lot of interactive things, such as on Instagram. They'll have a lot of different contests where you can take photos of like the mascot or take photos of your favorite location on campus. You can hashtag it, a certain hashtag, and then they might repost it, or there are just several contests that go on through the year, and it's really fun.
Very cool. I don't know. So what about the guys? Would you guys ever enter a contest?
I've seen contests. I've never entered any personally. I know there was one contest if you were to go up to our student supply store where you buy books and supplies like that, and you tried on a pair of Ray-Bans, took a picture in them, and then tweeted it, you could have a chance to win them. So I thought that was kind of interesting, get people to come in the door, stuff like that.
So out of curiosity, what do you guys think about memes and like some of that stuff that, you know, some of the schools I know across the country post, and, you know, are they cool? Are they lame? Are they
Hilarious.
hilarious?
Very funny. Very funny.
I think memes are kind of ruling the internet right now. So for colleges to kind of pick up on that trend, I think is a really good idea.
That's for sure.
So using something funny to actually get your attention is effective.
There was actually a Facebook account called Bama Memes, and I guess this guy just either found or created a whole bunch of them. And it was funny because, like, I mean, there's little quirky things about your school that you would only really know if you went there, and they would kind of play off that, and it was just hilarious.
That's why at Clarkson we have a CU Probs Twitter account, which likewise is normally pretty hilarious. But by the same token, I can see from a marketing perspective how that's not the type of promotion you want for your campus. So I think the real question is for the higher ed industry, how do you, take this comedy, use a student's sense of humor to promote the university in a positive manner as well.
Very cool. So what do you think about, just going directly into the different social media accounts, what do you think about Facebook?
I think Facebook's pretty helpful as far as staying in touch with people, getting to know other people, keeping your friend circle, sharing pictures, stuff like that. It's useful. I can definitely see where it's being kind of overused, maybe. People have to post every little thing on it, but I think it's definitely helpful in various ways.
Cool.
I think for universities trying to send out information on Facebook, it should be more parental oriented, and then the stuff for the kids can go out through the other social medias. And I mean, you can still post the stuff for the kids on Facebook if they check on there, but I know Facebook isn't the prime social media outlet for most of my friends, just because they thought it's fizzled out, all the parents are on there and the kids are off somewhere else. So it's beneficial to post it there. I just don't know if you can post everything there to try and get the kids' attention.
I definitely agree. I think among the college students I know, Facebook is kind of on its way out. Just as it's been around for so long, you tend to have a large accumulation of friends on there, way beyond just your college friends, which I feel like is better for getting in touch with the parents, but not so much for giving information to students.
I'll go out on a limb and I'll say that, this is just my opinion, but I think that the size of Facebook and how much it has spread over the years is one of the reasons why I'd argue university could benefit from utilizing Facebook, because I was thinking about the prompt, and literally my grandmother is on Facebook. And at least once a week I get a phone call from her, and she saw this picture I posted and she's asking me about it. So I think Facebook's gone leaps and bounds as far as bringing the world closer together. I mean, love my grandmother to death. I don't think she could send an email if you asked her to, but Facebook, she's on top of that. But when you talk about it in the context of education, I'm waiting for the point where we can use Facebook as a tool in substitution of, say, Moodle or Blackboard. Because I saw this in high school, I had Moodle, and then in college I had a Blackboard and a Moodle, and now as a senior we just had Moodle. But universities like to create these avenues for students to communicate with each other or to gain access to educational resources, be it a PDF document or something like that. And I'm wondering if, in 5 or 10 years, if we'll start to see that all being inclusive on Facebook, where it's an interface that every student knows how to use, and you don't have to go through the hassle of learning something new to do that.
I like that idea because there's I mean, it really is. Everything's become so user-friendly now, and I mean, Facebook is really no exception. It's probably one of the easiest to use social networking sites that there are around today. So I think that would be interesting, and especially, I mean, you said you had Blackboard. I'm sure you ran into several of the issues I did as far as its glitches, and I mean, it was one of the slowest networking sites, especially considering how many people are using it, and you think it'd be a little quicker. That's definitely an interesting point.
So would you guys use Facebook to communicate with, you know, classmates and your professor if they were on there? I mean, would you rather use that over Blackboard?
Absolutely. I actually, now that I've graduated, I have a number of professors as Facebook friends, along with, you know, high school teachers and whomever. And the nice part about Facebook is if it's used the way that everyone tells you should use it, you shouldn't have to worry about anything. But if you are like some of my friends in college who didn't use Facebook the most appropriate way, there's so many tools now to hide photos from X amount of people, or you can even be parts of groups and not even show your profile picture. So the tools are out there to have your privacy while still coming together on a certain community on the website.
Cool. So what do you think, Megan? Would you put the groups on there?
I don't know if I would want to mix my personal social media use with professors. It's not that I would have anything to hide, but I would be less likely to post my favorite song lyrics if I knew my professors were able to, and I guess I could hide it, but I just think that it's a better idea to almost separate it a little further. I would prefer just to see Blackboard get an update and be more effective rather than trying to combine it with a social media.
University usage of social medias, I believe, should be a little less focused on trying to get a response back from the student, more just here's the information, you don't need to reply at all, because then that would interfere with you know, going on the profiles and checking for a response that you had posted in amongst all your other personal posts. So there's that factor.
Well, if Facebook is on the way out, could this potentially be a way to bring it back in? If it truly is on the way out, could this be a way for colleges to utilize the system that so many people are on to organize events and stuff like that? I mean, that could be a potential growth for Facebook as well as utilizing it through universities.
So out of curiosity, we talk about the academic component. Would you be more likely to go to an event, you know, an ice cream social, a party, a dining event, if you saw it on Facebook? I mean, is that the place where you're going to go find information about getting engaged and getting involved on campus?
Probably. It gives you the location where it's going to be. Also, there's so many people on Facebook. You know, if your grandma was going, she could say she's going, you know, and you could see that. So, I mean, you can see what kind of crowd's going to be there. Maybe they can post photos and stuff of past events that are similar, and you can see if it's your kind of, if it's your style, and you can go if you want to. So I think that's definitely a good way to advertise.
What about MSU?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because if, say, you didn't go the first time, but you knew about it because it's on, and then you get pictures, you know, updated like 2 days later, you'd see, oh, you know what, that'd be a pretty fun event to go to. And I, like, personally would probably go to it. Like, you know, you never know with school-sponsored events, you know, sometimes they're cool to hang out at, and sometimes, you know, they're kind of lame. But, you know, it's just all in personal preference. But if you see it and you're like, you know, some of my friends were there, and, hey, it looked really fun, I definitely would join the next time. Facebook is definitely a way to get it out there more so than, like, putting flyers up or trying to spread it just from student to student.
My school does utilize Facebook events quite a bit, specifically for each department. Like, there's a lot of performing arts departments. If there's a theater department show or a dance department show, it'll be a Facebook event and sent to a lot of people so that people know about it and what day it is.
So what do you guys, so you think Facebook is the best way to advertise events, or are there, I mean, would you be more likely to go to the website to look for stuff, or would you want that in an email? Would you want that
it may not necessarily be the best way because, like they were saying, it's on its way out. But I mean, so there may be a lot of people who don't check. So say you have an event coming up this Saturday, and Judy hasn't checked her Facebook in 3 months. She's probably not going to get that. But here at Alabama, I know they used to have this website. I don't know if they do anymore. There was a site called ConnectCrimson.com. And they would have different events that were going on. They'd have bar specials, they'd have food specials, and all kinds of stuff just centralized in this one website. So it was really helpful, if you're maybe you're coming from out of town, you're from coming in for a football game or something, and you don't really know the town, you could say, okay, well, Copper Top or Rounders has these deals, and I can go get appetizers for half price at Buffalo Bills, and it's really helpful. So I think if maybe there was a company that made a website, or maybe a website that kind of centralized useful information and distributed that to students, I think that would be very helpful.
What about you guys?
I like the campus calendar that we have on our website. That seems to be fairly helpful. It's more often than not for me, especially with ROTC, as the Michigan boys are about to find out. There's many weekends that are planned, and there's a lot of rigid timelines that you have. But when you have a Saturday night off or something like that, it's nice to be able to go on to the calendar and say, okay, this Saturday, what's going on? So what I found is very seldomly would I rearrange my calendar for an event. It'd more often be that I'd have some free time, and I'd say, okay, what can I do with this free time? And I'd look to see if there's any events.
What about you, Megan?
Our website, when you go on, it also has a little calendar on the side if you click on the student tab, which is really helpful. It has all the various clubs, meeting times and locations, the events. So you can usually find out what's going on that day or a couple days in advance. Right on the website, really convenient.
Us as incoming freshmen haven't really had the pleasure of being able to become integrated into all that. I mean, sure, we've gone on the website and such, but there haven't been many events so far. But I'm sure on the website there will be updated events that we can choose to go to. But that stuff would be kind of trivial, and I would think the best way to get in touch with kids about more important events would be just ixnay the social media and start putting flyers up on people's doors. Not handing them out per se, but just put them up on the doors and make sure that everyone gets a chance to see it and not just take it and throw it in the trash,
Go ahead.
Facebook's great, but just not for big, important, major events.
I also feel like there's a limit to the things that university-sponsored sites can post. So, like, say every year, for example, the retreat. It's one of our larger student housing areas. They have a huge pool party with hundreds of people. The university can't necessarily sponsor that. So some kind of outside site, I feel, would be kind of maybe beneficial in that aspect, maybe.
So we got some good feedback from Christina Olivius, and she wants to know, we're talking a lot about future behavior. Tell us what you've done in the past. So have you gone to events when you've seen it on Facebook? Have you gone to events when you've seen it on Twitter? Have you gone to events when you've seen them on Instagram or things like that? So what have you done that has been successful? And I'm sorry, MSU, this is kind of going towards the upperclassmen, but so for those that are upperclassmen or graduated, going to be new law students, what have you done that as a result of the interaction you've seen online?
Definitely concerts and stuff like that. There have been local concerts at bars downtown, stuff like that, and they've advertised those pretty heavily through social media. So I've definitely been to several events, and most of the time they're pretty fun. I mean, I wouldn't say that they really advertise. I guess they're the bars themselves advertising, but I mean, I would say it's pretty successful.
So not just the bars, because I mean the outside engagement's important, but what about with your university? What events have you gone to from your school, colleges, things like that, or have you actually engaged in because you saw it online?
More often than not, it would be sports events. They advertise a lot of baseball games and gymnastics meets and things like that. I've been to several of those. So I would say overall it's successful to advertise over the internet through social media.
A personal favorite of mine.
Yeah.
Sorry. A personal favorite of mine has always been comedy shows. Comedy shows or hypnotist shows. And again, for the Michigan State freshmen, those are great events to take a date to. But more importantly, I'd look at the calendar online, and I'd look at Saturdays, what's going on, and if I had a free Saturday and I saw there was a comedy show, I'm a little unique in this, but I'd book it. I'd put it in the calendar 2 or 3 weeks out that on this Saturday night I'm going to a comedy show. So that's, I said, a lot of the times I'd use the calendar that the university has to plan ahead of time.
A lot of times on my campus, if there's a big event or concert, there will be people sitting outside of our dining hall at a table, like with information about it, where to buy tickets. I know there's one annual event called Beatlemore, basically where all the music groups on campus come together and they each perform a Beatles song, and it's a really popular concert. They have 3 shows. It always sells out. And there were people at this table months before the show happened telling everyone, like, you need to buy a ticket. If you're a freshman, if you don't know, this will sell out. So I found that really helpful.
Another thing I just remembered, it's pretty popular around here, at least, because I know so many people walk on campus. They'll actually people will go out in the mornings and take chalk and write out information about an event. And if there's a theater show, or if there's a concert, or say there's like I don't know, it could be anything. I've seen all kinds of fraternities, and they'll actually go out and write information in chalk in common, pretty heavily trafficked areas, so people, when they're walking, can just see it that way.
So it sounds like what you guys are saying, instead of social media is good for connecting and communicating, but when it comes to planning, more often than not, you're looking at flyers, you're looking at personal interaction, you're looking at, perhaps looking ahead on the website, but, the stuff that's really going to stand out is the personal interactions that you have, instead of, just putting it out there into hyperspace.
Well, even then, I mean, after you meet people, though, like, people see it, like, on the sidewalk and whatnot, chances are they might even go on Twitter or Facebook, and they might even put it on there for more kids to see, and then they're like, oh, well, if I missed that, well, I already have that personal interaction with another person. I'm going to share this with all my friends online, and then people, check with their friends, and they group with their friends, and they see if one of their friends are going, then they go. I know I do that a lot with my high school. Like, if they're out on the lake and they're saying there's like, like a barbecue or something, I'll be like, all right, yeah, sweet. If the invite's open, I'll totally join. So that's how we networked out up here with high school, at least. I mean, I know it's probably going to be a grander scale in college, but I think it'd be much of the same as well.
Cool. So we do have a question from Erica Fields. Thank you, Erica. That is curious if any of the students have connected with your career services on social media. So if any of you guys gone to your career services department or office and talked to them about what you can do to get a job, and have you followed any of them online? Have you?
One thing, Clarkson is great at this. They actually have, for our Career Services Center, they have a LinkedIn, they have a Facebook, but the LinkedIn account, it's set up so it's exclusively to Clarkson alumni. And what happens a lot, and this actually happened with one of my friends last summer, he had an internship in Texas. And through using the LinkedIn account, he posted on there, hey, I'm visiting Texas for 3 months this summer for my internship. An alumni from Texas offered him a place to stay. She had like an extra house or something like that he stayed in, and also gave him a vehicle to drive to and back from his internship. And these are stories that you hear a lot on our LinkedIn page for alumni exclusively. You'll see a lot of people say, I'm moving to Boston, I have a mechanical engineering degree, looking for work, and more often than not you'll see 3 or 4 comments of individuals either recommending a place that's hiring or many times in their own firm they're hiring. So the connecting the alumni, I'd argue, is one of the best tools for social media. And if you can harness that and as a group create that environment, then students and alumni benefit from it tremendously.
Do you think the best way to do that is on LinkedIn?
I think LinkedIn is a good avenue to do it because LinkedIn does have that exclusivity for professional profiles. If you want to help out a senior in college, LinkedIn, you see their credentials, where through other social media sites you may not get the same impression, if that's how I mean to say it. But it definitely works for LinkedIn, and I don't see why you couldn't do it for Facebook. I just know for LinkedIn, that's how the Career Services Center chooses to do it.
At my school, the Career Center services I've been a part of, I've been more in contact through email. What will typically happen to me is I'll be involved in a department either through declaring a major. For example, declaring pre-med, I will get all the emails about pre-med, different panels or things that they'll bring on campus. So my school, I'm not sure if Career Services has any social medias, but they connect pretty well through email.
I'm also unsure if we have any social media accounts as far as our career services go, but I do know that we have employment and student career websites where they'll just have job listings and various companies looking for certain positions. So I mean, I'll be on there pretty regularly looking through it, but other than that, I wouldn't say they go into social media so much.
Yeah, Alabama's very similar to what Michigan State does. I mean, it's all email and flyers around the places around campus that are hiring, and here you can take a student job. We've got openings, just all on paper. But as for social media, I'm not quite sure yet, but I'm sure it'll happen soon eventually.
So we do have a question from ASC at RIT. They say that Instagram is supposed to be the hot new platform. How do we get students to follow us to promote our department?
I feel my school is very active on Instagram. They do, like I said, the various contests, and they also will do this thing called Regram, where you take photos and they'll basically repost your photo but give you your account credit, which a lot of students actively look at the Instagram and look at their photos.
We had a Clarkson. Oh, I'm sorry, James.
You're good. Good.
We had a Clarkson Spirit Instagram contest, and it was I think it was a video contest, like 10-15 seconds. And that was, I think to date, that's been one of the only Instagram posts that I've made, and it was hashtag Clarkson Spirit. So that seemed to be a good way to get a lot of students on it, create some form of a competition, and then offer a pizza party or some other little prize at the end.
I don't really use Instagram. I guess I don't really see enough interesting stuff to take pictures, but I do. I know there's a local pizza place right down the road, and they did a kind of a competition with, I think it was with Twitter though, but you got on your Twitter account, got to the pizza place, tweeted that you were at the pizza place getting free pizza, and they give you free pizza. So I mean, that's pretty interesting way. Maybe you go in and you take a picture of your slice of pizza and you have to put it on Instagram or something and share it with all your friends. But I mean, gives students an incentive to maybe become more involved in those activities, stuff like that.
As for Michigan State, I'm not quite sure, but as soon as this hangout is up, I'll definitely be checking, that's for sure. Yeah.
So it sounds like, I mean, based on what you guys are saying, that in some different areas, the Office of Academic Affairs, the Career Services offices, housing, dining, it's great information, but oftentimes, perhaps because it's so fragmented in so many different areas, you either don't know if it exists or it's, so it makes it really hard to find. So perhaps would you be more likely to follow it, if there was housing information or dining information or career services information posted on the main university social media account, either Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, would you be more likely to look at it? So do you think that consolidating all of the information and making it easier to find is better?
Absolutely.
Or do you like it being separated so you can filter it by area? So what do you think is best?
I think it needs to be separated to a degree because, that information can be lost so easily. But, if you were to, say, have one page with all these, if you were to have sections where it was housing, dining halls, different categories, and then have that information, I think that would be helpful to students at least. To have all that information in one spot and you can navigate accordingly.
I'm wondering if it would be more efficient to put it all in one spot, but to divide it into categories with different hashtags, so that if you wanted to only look at housing, maybe there could be a hashtag Skidmore Housing at the end of their Facebook post, so you could just click on that, then see all the housing posts. But still, it would all be on the same place.
I guess the best answer to that question I can come up with is it depends. I think that in the case of email, there's definitely a lot of benefit for consolidating the messages that you're sending to students, because it's very easy to itemize it or add bullets or say, here's the link to the dining hall schedule instead of sending your own email for that. But when I think of something like Twitter, especially I can imagine with the big universities, if they had just one Twitter account that everything that Michigan State had to say went across, I can imagine that it'd be almost overused. So for something like Twitter, maybe Facebook, there's definitely a benefit to having it fragmented. And I guess the suggestion would be that from each subsection of it, I'd make sure that it's clearly linked back to the home, I guess, Facebook site or however you do it, much like a website where you can go to Clarkson's website and look at the humanities department's website listed within there, but you can also go back to the main website. So maybe making sure that you can make that transfer easily.
I can't speak for all students at all universities, but if Michigan State was to just consolidate all of their posts to one account, I know for a fact that the students would get bored of it very, very easily, and it would be completely and utterly overwhelming due to the huge influx of events and things and happenings that are going on all at one time. Some universities are huge, and I don't think that would be as much of a problem at small universities, seeing as though there aren't as many events going on at once. But for a big university like Michigan State, I'm sure the kids would get bored and tired of that real fast. So I think separation is the key at some of the bigger universities to having a strong presence on social media.
So it sounds like you're also saying that less is more. That pushing information out over and over and over again, or sending a million emails over and over and over again, it just gets lost and you stop paying attention. So making it very simple, concise. If there's ways to consolidate it, it is beneficial. But the more that your universities are shouting at you this information, the more you're tuning out. Is that right? I don't know. Megan's smiling. So what you thinking, girl?
No, I definitely think that's true. That they need to consolidate the information to what the students would want to see and put that on the appropriate social media so that the students could see it.
Do you guys agree?
Yeah. I feel like if you consolidate it and you break it up into categories, like even you can make a program where students are interested basically kind of in like a square field of what they want to see. So maybe in each category you make a link or something that would connect that student to that category and give them updates on stuff that happens just for that category instead of the wide spectrum of everything going on in the university. They're just interested in, say, just the sports aspect of it, so they just want to know the updates on game times and whatnot. I could see how that could be beneficial. We also had a program over at our school, it was like Remind 101, it would send you text alerts on stuff that is just associated with one group. So if I was just associated, say, with the ROTC Corps, and that in our Remind 101, our XO could just send out an update, say, hey, we're marching today, or there's like a new comp or something that's going on. If you're interested, you know, come see blah, 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 or be here at this time. It would only just send it out to the people that are affiliated with those categories and whatnot, instead of sending it to the whole thing and it get annoying and people not want to have it anymore.
So that's a really good point that you brought up. What do you guys think about text messages? What do you think if your school started text messaging you information or reminders or?
They text, in Alabama, they text us severe weather alerts, but that's about the extent of text messaging. I just feel like if I were to be constantly getting texts saying that, you know, it's $5 Friday at the dining hall, I'm probably going to get pretty annoyed.
Agreed. The text messages would drive me crazy. I get the same weather alert ones, or whenever there's some type of what's considered to be an emergency, I get the text, and those are enough. I would go crazy if the university sent me text messages for every announcement they sent. But going back to the original question on the types of communications that universities should be sending, now when I read through the prompt questions in the script, it made me think, well, of two things. First was, if the university was paying for this advertisement, would they be sending it to me? I think that if you bring that mindset into it, and you know, you're sending information out, and when it's free to send all this information out to everybody, then that's a tendency. But if you were to use, you know, I guess the advertising mindset, where, you know, each student's a consumer of information, and if you send them too much, they're not going to consume any more of it. It brings a whole new discussion as to, okay, who are we going to tell that it's a $5 Friday when every Friday is a $5 Friday? Do we need to send out this campus blast, or is this maybe something that, you know, we've already sent it out a couple times this semester, we're not going to send it anymore?
I agree. I think that colleges should only use text messages for emergencies. I have never received a text message from my college, but I know I'm set up through our campus police that if some emergency did happen, I would receive one. But I haven't yet, which I appreciate.
Very cool. So we do have a question from Douglas Lee Miller, and he wants to know that we talked about LinkedIn a little bit with career services. And he wants to know if we talked about, you know, do your career services talk to you at all about personal branding? Do you know what that means? And are there any school-provided portfolios?
So every freshman at Clarkson, what they have is they have this class called First Year Seminar, and it's 12 classes about being a freshman just in college. And one of them, career services member, comes in and talks with us. And that's one thing that Clarkson's good at. And I'm going to quote it wrong now that I'm thinking about it, but Clarkson's actually one of 10 schools in the nation to, on average, have a higher starting salary than Harvard graduates. And part of that is that our Career Services Center really is on top of us all the time. So the first thing, they come in, they meet with us, they say you have to build a resume, and then each group of 15 students has a peer educator who's an upperclassman who keeps harping on that. Then by sophomore year, junior year, if you don't have you know, a resume built, if you don't have it in the system, if you haven't been to the career fairs, the professors keep reminding you for it. So there's this community here where everyone's encouraging you to get involved, to build your portfolio. And it's advised your first year that you meet with a Career Center representative, as I did my first year, and I sat down with an hour and we went over my resume and we talked about, you know, personal branding, some of the areas that you want to structure yourself for, internships that you want to prepare yourself for, and whatnot. So from what I've seen at my university, Clarkson's been phenomenal when it comes to preparing students for the job market.
I feel like if we were to go to the Career Center and ask specific questions, they would give us specific answers, but I don't feel like they really reach out to I don't know. I have not heard a lot of information from our Career Center personally. So.
At my school, I know the resources there. I've seen the Career Center representatives many times, but I feel that talking about my future and the future job opportunities and things like that comes more through my advisor than Career Center, that system as a whole.
I'd also agree with that.
Unfortunately, Connor and I can't really speak on this topic as much, but in conjunction to what James was saying, I think personal branding kind of goes along with the Career Center, not per se outreaching to the students. Here, you need to do this. It all comes with your own personal initiative to, I have to go out and do that, not being told to do so. That just sort of relates back to personal branding and the whole philosophy of what it is.
I love that you said that. I was just talking to a student today about how, you know, if you want a job hard enough, you got to go apply for jobs. You got to put yourself out there. It's not going to come to you. And I'm glad that you guys said that, because some people just think that it should be handed to them. But we got some smart folks here. So to wrap up, because we're getting close to the time, do you have any advice for colleges and universities that want to communicate with you? So we talked a little bit about consolidating the information and trying to provide it as succinctly as possible, being brief and not, you know, exactly what Matt said, not shouting too much at them, being very clear. You know, you're getting lost in the information. We talked about how Facebook is good, but you're not really on there a whole lot, but there might be some opportunities. So what advice do you have for colleges and universities that want you to either get involved with career services, get you involved with housing information, get you to live on campus? You know, what information do you have for them to communicate with you and encourage you to get engaged?
Maybe try different things, you know, have several different testing points, see what works best, and move up from there. But I mean, I would say Facebook and Twitter are two of the most prominent social media networks as of right now. So I'd say start there and see how it works.
For me, I guess when I thought about this ahead of time, I came up with 4 major categories that I'd like to see. Like I said, I'd advise universities to communicate with students on. The first one is, you know, releases about students and between students, and I'd keep that to Merit hometowners as well as Facebook communication, because there's nothing better than seeing the guy that sits next to you on, you know, the university's Facebook page. The other one was, you know, campus announcements. You know, to reiterate what I said earlier, I'd keep it concise. I'd keep it short, to a couple emails a week, and, you know, I just put them all together. The third area was, you know, I was thinking about Twitter. Twitter's nice that you can put a little bit of everything on there. You get to have a little bit of freedom with Twitter because it's only 140 characters, so you can't annoy a student like me that much. And even if you do, it'll be gone in 45 seconds, and the next one pops up beyond there. And the last one was communication with professors. Throughout my years, I've done a lot of, you know, face-to-face communication with professors, as well as email communication. And that's where one of the areas I used my email the most was with professors. And I liked having that availability of the faculty members, just to shoot them an email and them to get back to me in a couple hours.
I agree with everything that's been said. I think that the college should keep in mind their students and just try different things that will engage them in different ways. For example, I mean, our logo is Creative Thought Matters, so having a lot of different creative contests really engages the students at Skidmore, whereas that might not work everywhere. So I really think it is trial and error and the specific college.
Well, from like an incoming freshman's point of view, like I know like we have a huge social gathering that's about to happen. It's orientation. As much as time's getting, you know, more advanced and there's more social media and more people are, you know, connecting through like in the web, I don't see like I like social interaction. Like whenever I get to see a face and know who's behind it, you know, and get to see like what they're about. If they advertise it, say like at the orientation, and then they tell us what they're all about, and then they can show examples at the orientation, and then maybe later relink it with social media, like put on, well, this is our Twitter page and this is our Facebook page. We can get updated information, but like if they can show me actual like real life examples and have real life interaction with somebody, I think that's the best way to communicate with them, is to go out and actually talk to them about it. And then if you want to give them more details or if they want more information, they'll go find you and seek you out because they like how good your presence is initially at like an orientation and whatnot.
Do you agree, Josh?
Absolutely. Leave it at that.
Yeah.
You guys are so cute. You're like Bernie and Art. All right. Well, I want to thank all of my guests for joining us on the show today, and a very big thank you to Kendra Horvath, who's helping us doing some live tweeting from Higher Ed Live on Twitter. Marketing Live will be back in 2 weeks with Tim Jones, who will be chatting about the creative process. As always, you can watch all the shows from Higher Ed Live Pros on and all the archives on higheredlive.com. Thank you to everyone who joined us today, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.